are you doing? I'm available for anybody. You know, I'm the type of person that, you know, if you're genuinely interested in relating with me and putting putting forth a conversation that will lead to, you know, self-exploration and such, I've always leaned towards that, if that makes any sense. You know, I'm the type of person that I like to share the human experience with my peers, and I like to share the human experience with anybody who's really willing to delve deep. You know, most people are not, though. Most people are very reserved, very shy. Even if they seem like they're open-minded and open-hearted, they're usually not. You know, it's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to allow people into your dark parts of your upbringing. It's really hard to allow people into, you know, your weaknesses and vulnerabilities. I find that my weaknesses and my vulnerabilities make me stronger. You know, I find that allowing people to see my issues allows me to have a different perspective on my weaknesses, and I don't see them as weaknesses, but more of attributes. And you know, it's kind of like learning a maze. You know what I mean? Like you learn to navigate, you know, through the areas that allow you to go. And, you know, everybody's built differently. Everybody's maze is built differently, and you just learn how to traverse and make it. Either way, you're going to make it. That's the beauty of life, is all you have to do is stick through it.
Yeah. Kind of.
You'd be surprised at how factual that statement is going through life. I'm living it right now. I'm living proof that all you have to do is literally stick it through. I mean, it's people. I mean, I do what I do. I'm a musician. You know what I mean? Obviously, like I'm saying, it's like the attributes that you're given, they're your attributes, and that's what's going to get you through life. Your weaknesses are where you have to learn to zig instead of zag. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's more of what I'm talking about. Is it's like when you rock your heart on your sleeve, you allow people to see what your weaknesses are, and if people can either look down upon you for your weaknesses, or they can help you. And most of the people that I open up to, they're not malicious. You know what I mean? And if they are, they don't talk to me for very long. And one of the biggest things is, and if people are willing to help you out, you know, you learn how to manipulate yourself through problems. And I mean, really, when it comes down to it, everybody in this life is going to see their end. You know what I mean? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that's why it's like, when life gets down, when life gets hard, you know, you lose a best friend when you are being adjudicated every 5 minutes for what you do for a living and for the position that you've taken. You know, you have to learn. All you have to do is ignore and keep seeing yourself through the problems. You know, as long as you have somebody to talk to, as long as you have even yourself to talk to, there's always an option, and there's always a way out.
Do you think that your phenomenal strength comes from how well loved you are?
I grew up without a father and with a mother who pretty much could handle anything,
right?
Except for her own demons,
right?
And my mom loves me endlessly. That lady would, if there was a gun to my head and there was an option for her to take the bullet, she would do it 1,000,000 times.
Yeah.
that kind of love is something that was really hard to comprehend when I was a kid. Just because growing up, I felt really abandoned. I felt like my father. That felt like I wasn't good enough for my dad to be around. It's the quintessential problem with children that are raised out of wedlock and children that are raised by single parents. They feel abandoned and they feel inadequate. And having someone love you that much is a little weird. You know what I mean? You kind of don't get it. And the hardest part for me was the fact that my mother was, she was so depressed, and she had such a hard time with accepting herself, just because of the way she was raised. She had very strict parents. My grandparents were really hard on her. So she grew up really, really, really second-guessing every move that she did. And that made me not ever want to second-guess myself. That made me never want to be that depressed, never want to give up. All that strength comes from watching my mom fall apart in so many ways when I knew that she had the strength to conquer the world. Does that make sense?
Yeah, complete sense, yeah. It really makes sense.
It was really hard to watch somebody that is... It's like watching Hercules get beaten because of his Achilles. You know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of comparison. It's really hard to watch your superhero just get defeated by such a small thing, which is your brain. So I vowed at a very young age to never let depression get the best of me, to always try to see the next step, no matter how bummed I was, no matter how pissed I am, no matter how hard life can be or what you have to do. As long as you trek forward, you can really do whatever you want, and that's a lesson that I learned really early in life, and I think that's where my strength comes from. I think it just comes from, hey, you know what? Things heal, wounds heal, bones heal, voices heal.
Yeah.
Your heart heals, and in the end, when things heal, when things get cut and they heal, they come back stronger. I've broken many bones, and I've had many cuts, and I've learned that once everything's healed, once everything's fixed, everything is stronger for the break, for the pain. And and as an adult too, I've learned that lesson. I've learned that I've become a stronger person, even through this endeavor, through taking over for suicide charms. I've become a much stronger person.
And speaking to you is obviously very emotional, and that's good. Yeah, because that's good. But I can see now how you were able to do that, because you've got you had to have that emotional weight, that insight. That's why you're a match made in heaven, probably literally, to be honest. But
I would say that there's a plethora of reasons why everything worked out so perfectly in the end. Mitch and I starting our musical careers together, doing, we were a year apart, and pretty much led very similar lives, very separately. He was a dude that I always looked up to musically and performance-wise. And from my understanding, I mean, this is not something you really share with your peers, just because you don't want their heads to get big, and you don't want to offset the balance. So, he never told me that he looked up to me, but in the end, there was a lot of things that he did in his career that mimicked my style, and vice versa. we both were cut from a very similar stone, and me being a part of the Suicide Silence family for as long as I have made the transition really easy. I'm in a band with some of my best friends in the community and in the industry, so it's such a proper feeling, and it's overwhelmingly easy, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Well, because you fit, don't you?
Yeah.
It's natural. It's natural.
Exactly.
Eddie, it's so humbling speaking to you, but that's what I was hearing with your mum and stuff. You sort of like you made a decision, didn't you?
Yeah, and I mean that was part of the decision. Is, I wasn't going to let people's opinion on how you should live life guide how I made decisions.
Yeah.
And I was going to pursue my dreams. And in the end, as a kid, I mean, I remember being a child and standing on my bed and being in front of an audience. And it was, instead of an imaginary friend, people have like their imaginary friend. I had an imaginary audience that followed me around.
Wonderful.
It's no joke. I mean, I was made to be on stage. That's the one place on earth where I feel at zero. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel zen. I'm able to leave my own body, and I'm able to just go. And that is that's a place that I'll never stop being. It's as long as there's stages to be on, as long as there's people listening and watching, even if it's one person, I am happy performing. And that's what it really comes down to. Is I wasn't going to be stifled by my grandparents, by my aunts, telling me, hey, you probably should stop that, dancing or singing, that's for females, you should probably look into becoming a doctor or a lawyer or something. And I mean, I could have done that. I could have easily done that, but you know what? I'd be miserable. I probably would have put a blunt in my head already.
Mm.
And the reality is I come from a very manic depressive family, a family with a lot of rage issues and stuff like that. And what better way to let all those demons and the horrible things out than to scream your guts out into a microphone over some really, really heavy music that makes people feel the same way that you do, which is, scared and lost and alone. And through that music, through that feeling, realizing and looking around and seeing that everybody else is on the same boat and is in the same place. And we all come from the same broken home. We all come from the same hurt heart. I mean, this is all really weird because, I mean, we're talking about suicide, and, I just spent last night, I promised myself when Robin Williams died that I would watch What Dreams May Come. It's a movie that he made that pretty much traverses the idea of death and the idea of heaven and hell. For instance, a lot of people, gain their inspiration from other music. I do too. I'm a big fan of, Slipknot. I'm a big fan of Korn, of Suffocation, of Judas Priest, David Bowie, the Beatles. I'm a big fan of music, but needless to say, I'm also a big fan of art in general. And Robin Williams was a man that I took a lot of inspiration from because he was so diverse. He was such a weirdo. He found humor in the most obscure places, and it really broke my heart to know that in the end he was so depressed, so beaten by life, he had to take his own life. And that's something that I vowed very early on to never allow myself to be. And I mean, I was bawling my eyes out last night, and I'm being very open here, but I was crying my eyes out, and one of the only things that I could think about was why didn't he come talk to me? And that is generally how I feel especially with what I'm doing now, because there's so many fans that have come up to me and shown me their scars on their arms and said, thank you very much for saving my life, and thank you very much for helping me. You know, I don't share this with anybody, but your music really gets me through. And I really feel like I have enough strength within me to talk anybody out of wanting to end their life. Because, I mean, you're just kind of like selling yourself short. You know what I mean? He was 63 years old, and I still feel like he sold himself short. And it still makes me very angry. And I think suicide is it just puts people in such a difficult position. Everybody who's left alive on Earth, it's almost like it's a punch to the gut. And I don't want anybody to feel like that's okay. I don't want anybody to feel like they have the power to take their own life. And I don't think anybody does. I mean, yes, you do. You do have the physical strength and power to end it, but in the end, you're robbing yourself, and you're robbing everybody around you, and you're hurting everybody around you. So it's such a, I don't know, it's something that I vowed at a very young age to speak up against, and to do my best to help other people through that, because I've seen it firsthand. You know, I've seen people look at you dead in the eyes and then just swallow pills, and having to very quickly react and be in the darkest of darkest places, and have to figure out what you're going to do and not give up. So, I mean, being in a band, I'm having the time of my life. You know? There's no amount of hate that's going to make me want to stop being in a band with my friends. Being their guiding light, and also like kind of keeping an eye out for them for Mitch. And there's nobody that's ever going to stop me from doing that. And that's why I wrote that record.
All this kind of power that you have, you're turning it into light, aren't you? You're turning it into a love. It is like a light, because that's what happens with the music.
Absolutely.
It's a loving touch, isn't it?
Yeah, man. Music is love. Music is the entirety of love put into a gambit of emotions. But in the end, it all circles back to being that one thing, which is I care enough about the world and about myself and about the art that I'm creating, so much so that it is displayed for other people to soak in and create their own views and their own ideas. But in the end, it all ends up being the same idea, and it all ends up being love, and it all ends up being, you know, that raising of the hair on the back of your neck, that feeling in your gut that tells you that you're not alone, that strength to get up out of bed every day and do what you have to do so that you can spread love around this earth in whatever facet you see fit, you know, be it by reading a book, or be it by, you know, taking a run, or having a long conversation over the phone with your loved ones. You know, all these things that when you're depressed, you shut that out and you allow darkness to fill you, and through that, there is no strength. There is no strength in nothing. There's no foot to stand on in space. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You just end up sitting there and decaying and allowing life to run over you instead of utilizing life to learn and to progress and to grow.
Mm. Eddie, well, thank you, because because I'm rightly silenced by you, and grateful and indebted on many levels from speaking to you, because it's been a phenomenal and profound inspiration. I'm glad that other people are going to be able to hear what you've said, because it's Thank you. Yeah, really thank you.
You're
really, really appreciate it.
You're making me tear up over here.
Yeah, well, that's how I feel having spoken with you, Eddie.
It's one of those things where my intention has never, ever once been to be the best, number one. To do anything that isolates me. If anything, I want to be soaked in to the energy, and I want to become a part of everyone, and that is I don't know, that's something that drives me. I want everybody to feel so inspired that people learn how to utilize everything in life to become one thing. Because that's what we are. We're all just one energy. I mean, when it comes down to it, you know, the whole idea of God, love, life, light, darkness, all those ideas, you can argue up and down what they all mean, you know, what it all comes down to. But in the end, you know, there's as much energy inside of you as there is in sunlight, and as there is in grass growing, and in wind blowing, and in waves crashing. There's all that whole kinetic energy, and that whole movement that goes on, that circular, that cyclical motion that we all live. It's all inside of us. It's why we spin when we're drunk. It's why the world goes around. It's why, you know, gravity is what it is. Because in the end, we're all one big ball of energy. We're all one bit that needs to learn individually how to work together. And that's what life is about, you know. It's about learning how to become one, you know, learning how to love each other. And I think that a lot of people are negated from that because of their upbringing. You know, there's a lot of negativity on Earth. You know, you can't have, it's the yin and the yang, you know. And most people, when they see a lot of negativity in life, they let that consume them, and they let that be the one thing that they know. And I guess all I ever want to do is to teach people that through the worst things in life and through the best things in life, all you have to take is that you yourself are just a vessel, and you're here to learn what to do so that we can all work together. And that's it. It's a very kind of like simplistic, complex thing to think about, but what is true is what's in your gut, and what tells you what is right and wrong. And that's the one thing that nobody can take away from you is your gut feeling, and the instincts that we're all born with. And that's it, you know, like, that's really it. And all I want to do is to share that with everybody else and inspire people to search within themselves. You know, I've sat and had conversations with so many people, and in the end, you know, I realize I'm not the sharpest blade in the knife set. You know, I've realized that, you know, I'm not the funniest dude ever. I have a good voice, and I know what to do with it, and I can go on stage and thrash my body around and be able to do that for many, many years. And that's what I can do, and that's where I do shine. But there's other people out there who can draw beautiful pictures. There's other people who are meant to change the world, aren't caught sleeping when the time comes. That's it.
Yeah. It's enormous, isn't it, Eddie? Yeah.
Life is enormous, yes.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's enormous. It's miraculous, isn't it, to get all that into your music?
Every record that I've written is just a little bit closer and a little bit closer and a little bit closer. I still don't feel like I've written the best piece of art in my life. You know, I still feel like there's a lot more to do. There's a lot more people to touch. There's a lot more conversations to be had. And moment, I don't think I'm ever going to finish. If my voice gives out on me, then I'll just write poetry until I die. Or go and teach other people how to use their voices, or go and teach and inspire people in different ways. In the end, that's all I really care to do. All I want to do is to be the flashlight for anybody who needs a flashlight, and that's it. Aside from that, I have all the things that I love in life. I have my health. I can go out and be active if I really want to. I go out on tour whenever I want to. I have people at home that I love very deeply, and people that I share with on a regular basis. People that know me in and out, and I have some lifelong friends. I have a mother that I adore, who is getting stronger every day, who talks to me whenever she needs me, and I talk to her whenever I need her. It's very, as far as I go, as far as my own selfishness, I feel like I've achieved what I wanted. But when it comes to my art, and when it comes to my job and what I have to do on this earth, I'm so far from done. I'm so far from done. Music is an internal thing. Music is meant for you to. I was just listening to the Darkest Hour record while I was taking a run. I went for a 3-mile jog, and in those 30 minutes, I'm sitting there listening to the new Darkest Hour record, which I think is their masterpiece. I feel like this is the best record they put out. And there's a song in there that says, "I'm living a drug. The white tower and the blackened lungs release my body into the night, where nothing is sacred and nothing is right." For whatever reason, I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it, but it means the world to me. And that's, I've talked to John Henry about it, and, to him it means something completely different. And that's the beauty of music, is I can write something and put it out there, and in the end, it's the emotion that I put into the music that makes it come alive, makes it speak to you, and it makes it speak differently to somebody else. And that's the beauty of music, is it's free. It's the utmost freeing thing that you can do, and that's what art is. People get so caught up in the intricacies of art, but when it comes down to it, you can sit and look at a painting and start bawling because it means the world to you. Yeah. It says something to you.
It does.
It's not weird to draw your own conclusions from music or art in general. That's what it's there for. You have a good day, and if you want to add in there that I am very grateful and very loving for all the support that the fans have given me thus far.
Yeah.
That is the driving force and the fluid and the fuel that I use to go out there every day and destroy the stage.
That's a really important message.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it really is, and that will be appreciated as well, I know. Thank you.
You have a good evening, and I'm going to go take my nephews out to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. All right, have a good one.
Thank you. Bye, you too. Bye.
Bye-bye.